And go.
All right, my name's Jens Peterson. I'm going to show you, in theory, how to do a mite sample. So you can read a few different ways on the internet about how to test your hive for mites. There's sticky boards. There's what they call the sugar shake or sugar roll, and then there's your alcohol wash. The alcohol wash is basically your gold standard. It's the most accurate, the most dependable. You shouldn't get any misreadings on it if you're doing it properly. So that's the only one I'm going to demonstrate, because in my view there's too many potential errors with the other two. So what you're going to do, this is my low-tech solution, but you can also buy this little doodad handy, again from Bee Made or one of your other suppliers. And what this container has, I don't know how close should I come. So it's basically 2 jars with double threads and a screen in the middle. So you're going to fill up this first jar about that far with methyl hydrate or rubbing alcohol. And what I actually do before I do that is I measure on there where 2/3 of a cup of liquid is going to go, and I just make a mark on it with tape. And it's not because I want 2/3 of liquid, it's because I want 2/3 of a cup of bees. And when bees are living, they're not cooperative, and when they're dead, it's it's just easier to do it. So anyways, you fill this kind of up, say 2/3, 3/4 full of methyl hydrate rubbing alcohol. You actually we'll say that this is the one that's full of liquid. You then might as well use this, even though I have no bees to show you. Nice thing about methyl hydrate or rubbing alcohol, like this jug is basically $4 worth. You can keep reusing it again and again. So anyways, take my jar of methyl hydrate, very poisonous to the bees. Your bees are not going to live through this. You take out your hive. You look very carefully, make sure you want a brood frame, preferably a frame with open young brood on it. So you don't want cap brood, you don't want eggs, you preferably want open brood on it. You're going to check very carefully to make sure your queen's not on here. You don't want to dip your queen in the methyl hydrate. Then you're going to take your jar, this has got a comb of bees on it, and you just kind of like rub the jar gently down the side over top of the bees. And as the bees kind of pop over the edge, they're going to fall into the methyl hydrate. Now if you had a whole ton of big clump of bees on there, well then you could just do the whole scoop thing. But more often than not, they're just kind of, you got like a single layer of bees on there. And so that's going down and kind of rolling them. They come over the top and they just kind of fall in. And that's where the beauty of your tape marker for the 2/3 comes into hand, is you can then see when you've got enough bees for your sample. The reason they often say, a lot of the literature says half a cup of bees, but I have the luxury of only ever testing one hive. And so I don't have to count hundreds of samples of bees to figure out whether I'm getting the right amount of bees. I count one sample of bees. And what I found is you actually need about 2/3 of a cup of bees to get 300. You want 300 bees in your sample, and then what you do, so that's about 2/3 of a cup of bees. Get your bees in there. Now you have a container that's got about that many bees in it, and the rest methyl hydrate. Take this, screw that on there.
Do it on better.
I've heard, like, I don't use this, so but I've heard that can be an issue with these things. Anyways, you give your bees a good vigorous shake. Okay? So all your bees and your liquid are down here, but you've given it a good vigorous shake. You flip it down like that. Your bees are up here. alcohol or methyl hydrates down here, and your mites are down here. Okay, so you can get a very good visual. Now what I found when I'm using my low-tech solution is I got to shake them 3, 4, 5 times and do that rinse before I get all the mites. So you may have to keep doing this. So if you're using my low-tech solution, I've got my methyl hydrate in here. Methyl hydrate and bees. Give it a really good shake. And I just take a section of like window screen or any old mesh will do. And I pour this into like some sort of white, like a casserole dish works well, a white bowl, something nice and light color. Pour that in there into your bowl. Oh, we've got 3 mites in there. Fish those 3 mites out, pour my alcohol back into my jar, give it another good shake, do it again. Fish out any mites. I keep doing that until I don't get any more mites. Now I know I've got them all. I've got 300 bees in my sample. If I get 3 mites, that means I have 1% infection rate. At this time of year, the rule of thumb is if you are over 2% infection, that's when you want to treat. If you're under 2%, then you're probably all right not treated. So at this time of year, if you're doing your sample, 2% is 6 mites in a sample of 300. Again, if you're only doing 1 hive, you can actually count your bees and see how close you were. It's like that some of those card games where you're trying to cut the deck and get exactly the right number of cards. What else? If you are testing when there's still a significant amount of capped brood in the hive, you're probably going to want to test again after that, because there will still be a significant number of mites hiding in the capped brood. So I actually just tested my hive yesterday, and I've got almost no capped brood in it, so which is good. And I happened to get, I had 2 mites in my sample of 300, so I'm under 1%. And because there was no capped brood in the hive, then I'm very confident that I've got them all. You want to be sampling from a brood frame, because the mites are hanging around on the brood frame. They like to go in, they crawl into the open cells of young brood just before those cells get capped. And so that's, when you're doing a mite sample, whether it's spring or fall, you're ideally looking for young brood, because that's where the mites are going to be. Where you don't want to be sampling from, shouldn't have any risk of getting your queen if you're doing it up there, but you don't want to be sampling from your honey supers, because those are all field bees. You want to be sampling from your brood box. Again, just be very, very careful you don't get your queen in there. What I like to do is I like to go through my, now granted I'm only working with a single and it's a small hive, so it's very easy for me to find my queen in there. I don't have a lot of combs to look through. But I like to find my queen, I put her back in, and I make sure I have a different comb, and then there's like no risk of sending her for a swim. That's that.